So sometimes when we're collecting flower essences, we look to the overall kind of macro experience that's happening when we're collecting the flower, or around the time we're collecting the flower, as like an indication, not only of the energy that's coming through the environment, but also that's sort of leading the way to the flower that we're looking for. So when we arrived in San Jose, I just wanted to share the story because it's like an amplification or magnification sort of the flower essence. So Taylor and I flew into San Jose. I'd never been there, actually. I'd been to Costa Rica several times, but flew into Liberia. So we flew into San Jose. I didn't know anything about it as a city. I figured it's probably just like the rest of Costa Rica, right? No, it's totally different. And we flew in at night and we got lost for what seemed like hours. Maybe it was only an hour. I don't know. It just seemed like hours, right? And we just kept going in circles. We couldn't find our Airbnb. It was a little crazy. And then we started reading the instructions and it was like, never, ever, 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 ever park your car on the street or you'll be broken into or your car will be stolen. So always make sure you go to these specially designated garage spots or places with a fence where you pay the guy to look after your car, because never, ever, ever, ever leave it on the street. We finally ended up finding our Airbnb, and there's like clearly, right, like tons of parking on the street to make it more convenient, but instead we had to park like 3 blocks down so that we could have this fellow look after our car. And then we like walked, dragging our luggage to the Airbnb on this really empty street at night. And there were some fellas like watching us type in the code. So we were trying to like hide the code to this Airbnb, which is super cute, but it was just like in this crazy environment. So we're in this position where we feel a little bit unsafe, right? I speak Spanish, so I'm comfortable, but I don't know anything about being in this new city. But we just kind of kept like staying open to this situation, even though we were starving and lost for so long. And we ended up later that evening, I think we just like walked around and asked people where to go. And we ended up at the most amazing restaurant where they had kombucha on tap, and they had the most amazing food, and it was this really comfortable environment, and we could eat there at like 11 at night. We were so late. And it was open air. I mean, it was just so beautiful. And then the next morning, we found the cutest place to have breakfast with flowers and passion fruit smoothies and really kind people in this cute little neighborhood. And I'm sure you've had those experiences as well, where you feel a little bit like, where am I? And if you can just keep staying open to the experience, like the miraculousness of life in its glory kind of presents itself to you. Then when we left San Jose, we were driving to a friend of mine's resort. And I remember we were driving at night, as we typically do. We're always driving at night because that's just like what we do, and that's when you can't collect flowers. So we were driving at night, and then there was this other weird experience where we were forced to get off on the road. There were like, it was like guys in uniforms, but a little shady, right? And didn't really feel right. And they had closed the road and they were forcing everybody to go into this kind of rest stop area. Seemed real weird, kind of, you know, when you get that feeling. But we just like kept staying open and went into the rest stop and got some food and eventually maneuvered our way through it. And it was fine. But we kind of kept having experiences like that. So how this relates to the Rain of Gold, which is the whole reason we went in the first place, was to find this particular flower. It's like that feeling of, can you stay open even though a part of you wants to be really guarded and protective? Can you be aware? You know, we don't want to like advocate just being totally like unaware, or also don't want to advocate like shutting down on your intuition, right? We've all done that too, where it's like, oh no, that couldn't possibly be, when all your red flags and bells are going off. You definitely want to listen to those red flags, but if you can continue to stay open and you have no choice in the matter, if you can continue to stay open and not get clamped down and stressed by what's happening, you can still remain open to the kind of synchronicity of what you want to happen versus like tapping into the weird wave of fear that who knows, spirits, there could have been like a lot of different influences. So just kind of like keeping yourself not spinny outy. And I remember once when we were driving back, we stopped and we were at the top of the mountain and we stuck our heads out of the car and it was super dark, pitch black, and probably the most amazing stars I had seen in years. I mean, just jaw-dropping, stunning stars. It was like, I cannot believe I'm seeing something so incredibly beautiful. And then also hearing like somebody's cell phone a few yards behind us in the pitch dark, you know, like, okay, let's go. So it's like, you know, being aware of any possible real danger, but also being open enough that you can actually experience the miraculous quality of life. I think that's really important right now and today, is not to let fear or these like waves of externally generated fear overwhelm us to the point that we can't be open to simultaneous experiencing of the miraculous nature of life. And so just sharing a couple stories from our trip to collect that flower, because I feel like it's totally in alignment with the teachings of this particular orchid. So question for this week. Maybe more like a noticing. See if you can notice situations that feel a little tenuous or you feel a little guarded, and see if you can experience something unusual or unique or beautiful by just remaining open.